Hello, welcome to another video. This one is talking about my journey back to acting. I'm going to be touching on other reasons why I ultimately decided to take time out, what I did in the in-between, and how I ended up getting back to it. You may hear a shot or two in the background. That's not because I'm being hunted like Roger Rabbit. That is the clay pigeon guys across the way. So I've got the Lado with me here again today. He's going to be asking the questions. Say hi.
Hello.
All right, and let's get into it, I guess.
What was the main reason you left acting?
Well, like I said on a previous video, I got to a point where I just didn't have any confidence in myself. I had no faith in my own abilities or skills, and yeah, that was basically it.
Okay, but why do you think you felt that way about yourself? Like, what's the reason behind it?
You're going deep on me there, kid. Wow, okay, well, he's coming in with questions, isn't he? All right, I'll talk about a matter publicly. I've spoken to you about certain things in the past, but for the vast majority of my schooling life, I was bullied. Now, I'm not saying this to like get any kind of sympathy or anything like that. It's not, a case of, trying to be a victim. I've moved beyond and dealt with the vast majority of things a good while ago. But it's important to understand, and maybe this might connect to, obviously, if anyone's experiencing it, I'm sorry you're going through it. But maybe also to those who don't realise what you're doing. You're having a little laugh at someone here or there with your friends because you think it's funny. It's a joke. It's bants. Now, here or there, every so often, whatever, sure. You take the mickey out of your friends a little bit. It's a very British way of showing your love in a weird way towards your friends. But when you aren't necessarily friends, it's not bants. It's not funny when it's every lesson, constant, every break, and then followed up with messages and stuff. That's attacking someone, okay? And what you need to realise, and I'm talking to someone who might be in the mindset here that that's all you're doing, you don't realise the mental anguish that you cause that person, how you break them down, how you make them feel like crap, like they have no worth, like they're worthless, nothing better than a piece of dog do on the bottom of your shoe, okay? You need to wake up and realise what you're doing. You need to grow up and think. Okay? Now, I say that with the greatest bit of love to you, because you're at a point you don't necessarily realise what you're doing, maybe. But you will, sooner or later. And I just hope when you do realise, It's not too late for you to make amends, all right? And make yourself better, be a better person. All we should strive to do in this life is support one another. Doesn't matter where you're from, background, what you look like, you know, what team you support, what clothes you wear, whatever. We should all strive to support one another, big each other up, you know, be your brothers, be your sisters, biggest fan, you know, support them. Even if it's not something you're into, you know, but you find out like that a friend's into something that's not necessarily your interest. You know, you don't have to go all in hard on it, but just support them, you know, show them some support, all right? Anyway, that was a bit of a rant. What's next?
How much of an effect do you think that had on your mental health?
A lot. When it goes on for years and years at multiple different schools, you know, and you don't know why this is happening. You don't understand it. You know, you don't do anything to encourage that kind of behaviour towards you. You keep yourself to yourself, but people just end up targeting you because you're somewhat different or whatever, you know, and you get a group of people and they all clump together, and that's how it starts. And unfortunately I experienced that in multiple schools right across my childhood, like I said, even to college, to a vast degree, as though to be fair that wasn't anywhere near as bad. Most people are a lot more grown up by then. But it has effects on your personality, on you, things that stay with you for years and you don't even realise it. You know, when you approach social situations, you either want to avoid it completely, you're always on the, you know, you become hyper vigilant, you're on the lookout for something that might be a danger to you or whatever, and you don't even realise you're doing these things. And it affects you, you know, and it took a lot of years for me to realise certain behavioural traits I'd developed mentally and stuff, and where it all stemmed from.
What did you do after you decided to not pursue acting anymore?
Pursue?
Pursue. What did you do after you decided to not pursue acting anymore?
Okay, so, well really I just decided to get a regular job, to be fair. The first job I got, I started working in restaurants, and I worked in restaurants for about just over a decade, 10, nearly 11 years. And the first restaurant I worked in was a Cantonese restaurant just down the main high street on down Scunny, if you remember, opposite the, or nearly opposite the Conservative Club. Don't know if you ever went there with your granddad?
Probably not.
No? Do you remember Baths Hall?
Never.
No? Okay. Well, that was actually kind of cool. Every single night, they always like laid out food for all the staff after closing, and you know, we got fed, and I remember trying this sauce. It was clear with some little red bits in it. I was like, oh, that looks nice. I asked what it is, and I was just like, oh, it's a little spice. I was like, oh, okay, like hot. I was like, no, you'll be okay. I was like, okay. So I just started getting the spoon and just like sprinkling it everywhere. Oh my God, it like blew my head off. Yeah. I was sweating and everything. Like, yeah, it gave them a laugh. But yeah, at that point, I think we'd moved in to the high rise. Over by John Leggett College, If you remember, there was a big field opposite, and then there was high rise. And yeah, we lived there. And then we had you. Yeah, that was fun. And yeah, I went on to work in the restaurants down at Ashby Lodge for about 9 years after that, I think.
Was having me everything you thought it would be?
Oh, was having you everything I thought it would be? Yes, and more. Hasn't been without its challenges, hasn't been without its difficulties, but yes, it's been more than I could have ever hoped for.
How did becoming a dad change you, and do you think you was ready to become a dad?
Oh mate, deep questions, Jesus. Okay, so the first part, sorry, how did it change me?
Yeah.
Well, I think the majority of parents, they have a realization when they have a child that it's not really about them anymore. You know, you have to grow up and do what needs to be done, sort of thing. You have to mature somewhat quick. But was I ready to be a dad? Well, me and your mum discussed it a lot, and we thought we were ready, but in truth, we probably wasn't as prepared as we could have been. I don't think you ever truly are fully prepared for what parenthood brings. But we thought, yeah, you know, we've got this, it'll be fine, as you do, and you talk about things and you discuss them, but no, it brings a lot of challenges, and some for me was very much like holding a mirror up against myself, like in the terms that you have to, you know, think about not just yourself, you have to think about your family. Where am I going with this? Because I'm kind of digressing. No, I'm thinking more like with, you know, your grandpa, my dad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he was never really around for me. So it was difficult learning how to be a dad, you know, which is something a lot of people will experience, but, you know, trying to teach you the right ways and stuff like that, just general father stuff. I've learned a lot of that, you know, on the go.
Did moving up here to Stafford have any influence on you getting back into acting?
Yeah. Not really. You know what, I'm going to take a moment because we've just come uphill, so I'm just going to take a moment and have a breather. But no, the reason...
That was hard work.
It was. The reason we moved up this way primarily was for you, to give you a better opportunity at life. I mean, at the time back in Scunthorpe, I wasn't driving. I didn't really have any prospects, couldn't really get anywhere. It felt like I was trapped, you know, with no possibility of making a better future. You know, just going day to day, just trying to survive. Sometimes days wasn't even about surviving, it was just existing and just being, you know. And we decided to make the move over this way, like I say, for you, so that you had better opportunities. Geographically, for one, we're in a region where you can get most places fairly easy. You've got a main rail line, you can get to Manchester, you can get to Liverpool, you know, we can get to Birmingham, you know, central hubs where things are really active. you know, with universities and such, you can go to Derby. Like, I know you're interested in your motorsport engineering and stuff. There's a big hub for that over in Derby, isn't there?
I believe Derby is the best uni in the country for it.
Exactly, you know. And you wouldn't have those opportunities if we were where we were. And of course, now we're driving. When you're driving, it opens the world to you. You know, it's a freedom. You know, you're no longer trapped and caged by the same four walls. You know, so yeah.
So what was it that got you back into acting?
Okay. So, funnily enough, it was my mental health. Oh, we got a doggy. I'll wait for them to come by, then we'll start again. Hello. Hi. Hello then. Hi. So, ask me the question again, please.
What was it that got you back into acting?
So what got me back to acting? Well, a lot of it, I think, was to do with my mental health. I've kind of spoken to you in the past about it, but I haven't really gone too deep, yeah. But there was a point where I was at my lowest, really lowest. I was having some really horrible, dark thoughts, you know, something I hadn't experienced in a long time. And it's weird, it's gonna sound kind of crazy, but I was at the kitchen window, I was doing the pots, and I had these thoughts going on. And I heard this, you know, as these thoughts were happening, then this other voice in my head came in, and it wasn't just my voice, like we all have that internal voice. It was like you talking to me now, but like shouting. It's like it was that loud in my own mind. You know, it was like stronger words, but like just shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that really kind of spooked me in a way. I've never experienced anything like that before or after. But I decided to seek help, professional help, which is probably one of the biggest steps you can make once you come to a realization. It's, you know, accepting help at the time you feel weak or you don't want to ask for it or tell friends, family, because you don't want to burden them, you know. You don't want to make things hard for them, so you try and deal with it. So asking for help is one of the biggest, you know, first steps you can do. But it really helped me so much because it gave me tools to recognize certain patterns and spiraling patterns, if you like. So that you can like kind of catch yourself. One of the tools I picked up, because one thing people do commonly is they try and shove these thoughts away, you know, to the back of the mind. But a piece of advice I actually picked up, and this one was from a casting director. I think her name was Emma Stafford. I think she came into one of the classes, and she was like, you know, these voices are perfectly normal. It's part of us, yeah. And rather than just like let them kind of break you down, just let them have a moment and treat them like a child. Let them air their opinion or whatever. And then, right, if you're quite done, if you're quite finished, now we're going to pull up our socks and get on with it.
Put our big boy pants on.
Put your big boy pants on in a sense, yeah. But rather than hiding these and letting it break you down over time, just airing it a little bit, letting it out, I found it takes, you know, most of it away for you, and then you can move forward. But I think I'm digressing massively, aren't I? I said about, you know, how we got back to it, and I talked about that voice in my head. But later on, I don't know if any of you remember the meme with Shia LaBeouf, I think that's how you pronounce it, in front of a green screen and explosions, and he's there and he's screaming like, "Just do it!" Yeah,
I know that one.
You know that one. Well, but you know, he actually, if you watch a full video and you listen to the words, it comes with so much passion and frustration and love from him, because he's been through certain things himself. He knows the struggle, yeah. And those three parts that really stood out to me, and it was, you know, make your dreams come true. Yes, you can. Just do it. Yeah. And those words have been on repeat over time, and you know, if you let those go to heart and really absorb them and think about what it means, you know, yes, you can. All right, just do it. Make a start. All right, it's not going to come to you. It's not going to be handed to you. It's not going to be given to you. You have to fight for it. Yes, you can. Just do it. All right, make your dreams come true. Any more questions?
That's everything from me.
That's everything. All right. Well, that one brings this one to a close, and I reckon that's everything I've got to say on that matter. If you've enjoyed the video, if you've got any questions, any comments you'd like to share, thoughts, opinions, you know, please drop them in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to have further discussions about some of these topics today. Other than that, thanks for spending some time with us. Go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you soon. Take care.
Au revoir.